My name is Kenneth Myatt, and I'm an employee with the Department of Administration's Mail Service Center in Raleigh, and I'm a member of North Carolina Public Service Workers, UE Local 150, Raleigh chapter, and Black Workers for Justice. The African American Latino Alliance is a coalition of workers, organizations and activists who work to build unity between Black and Latino workers in our workplaces and communities. We believe that solidarity against our common enemies is the best way to create trust and confidence in one another. We work together for better conditions in workplaces, for language equality, and for fair immigration policies. And we have traveled together to Mexico to visit the family of a farm worker who died in the fields, and learned firsthand how undemocratic trade policies like NAFTA have damaged Mexico's economy and forced millions of workers to look for work in other countries. We condemn the recent raids by Immigration and Custom Enforcement on the workers at the Smithfield's Food in Tar Heel, North Carolina, as one more reactionary attempt by government and employers to resist the organization of Latino and Black workers at that plant as payback for their walkouts in April, May, December, and on the more recent holiday in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. I visited Mexico twice, first for the orientation of popular education and the negative effects globalization has on Mexico's economic infrastructure and the hardships it creates for indigenous people. I've seen American companies, such as pharmaceutical plants, established in outlying areas of Mexico. These companies exploit the workers for wages that can barely sustain one person, let alone the families of people who are forced to work these jobs for lack of better opportunities. In addition, there is very little regard for people in areas wrought with so much poverty that it causes those who are unfortunate to prey on others who are even less fortunate. The popular education workshops and education on globalization is much needed and instrumental in the labor movement that is gaining strength in Mexico as well as here in the United States and around the world. It is imperative that we Black and Latino continue to recognize that the beginning of our history in this country as oppressed people is a common thread in a continuing struggle to overcome racism, white supremacy, as we strengthen our relationships for the education and prosperity of our respective communities so that our shared heritage binds us closer as one. In my second trip to Mexico for the Border Social Forum, I found that the labor movement, as a result of popular education, has been solidified in the hearts and actions of people, and how the learned lessons of the past resonate in their voices when they call for representation from those in power. I found that the struggles of Latinos and Blacks are even closer than most of us are aware. We tend to be suffering the same injustices at the same time, hence the situation with the sanitation workers in Chihuahua who fought city government for the affirmation of their rights to fair wages, no forced scheduling, and no privatization, almost at the same time that the sanitation workers in Raleigh, North Carolina were fighting city government in affirmation of the same rights, much as the sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee did in 1968 with the help of Dr. Martin Luther King. While participating in a march to shut down the border, as I walked through the streets of Juarez, I heard the people chanting words in protest. I didn't understand them for my lack of skill in articulating Spanish, but the syllabic rhythm was a protest chant that I was all too familiar with, as it seemed to echo from the 1960 civil rights marches. Those words were, "The people united will never be defeated." We are honored to be a co-sponsor of this important event, and a special thanks to Mr. Jordan for giving us the opportunity to welcome the participants in this forum. I would also like to bring greetings from one of our coalition partners, Letitia Zavala, organizing director of the Farm Labor Organization Organizing Committee, FLOC, Saladin Muhammad, National Chairperson for Black Workers for Justice, and acknowledge our members and supporters in the audience. We know that we live in a different political historical period than the one of the Young Lords and Black Panthers. However, we have that body of work left behind to aid us in our fight today. It's really important for young people who didn't live through those times, or for brothers and sisters who were not in this country at that time, to learn what really happened. And most importantly, for people to know that black and brown created unity in the past, and if they work hard enough, they can create it today.